Al Dawkins with the Combat Radio. And today we're looking at the fact that not only boxers go broke. Throughout sports, boxers have a bit of a reputation for being reckless with their money. Reckless how they get it, reckless how they spend it. And with shady infrastructure, in so much as there's not much of an infrastructure. It seems, when it comes to getting paid, it seems kind of loose. There is a procedure, of course, but it's more on the management end and the promotional end, where boxers tend to get spanked. Let's just call it spanked. That's the polite way of saying it. But today we look at some football players. The Americans call it soccer, but it's really football. Foot to ball. They play egg ball. Okay. So let's look at a few examples of footballers going broke. This is some kind of top 10. I'm just going to pick out a few. We ain't got all day. So first of all, let's start with Keith Gillespie. Okay, so former Manchester United, wasn't he a Newcastle United guy? But anyway, okay, so we'll move on to the next. Just we're keeping it nice and short and sweet. Okay, so an addiction to gambling saw Manchester United product Keith Gillespie blow more than £7.2 million after a career that saw him take Newcastle to the Champions League and play 80 times for Northern Ireland. The midfielder was declared broke in 2010 at the age of 35. Okay, so in an interview with The Guardian, Gillespie said, "I lost an awful lot of money through gambling over the years. I also lost money on property and got involved in a film scheme, like a lot of footballers did." Don't get involved in a film scheme. Normally chancers who can't raise the money through more traditional channels. Might not be a good idea, probably isn't a good idea. That's why nobody will back up. Of course, 1 in a million will get through. Lee Hendry's gambling addiction saw him go bust. Depression and gambling addiction saw one-cap England player Lee Hendry go broke. Despite earning in excess of £30,000 per week while at Aston Villa, the former midfielder was declared bankrupt in January 2012 as he faced huge debts and repossession. Hendry later revealed he tried to take his own life 5 or 6 times after going bankrupt, and now works as an ambassador for a mental health organization, Young Minds. Okay, so even though he was earning all that money, he had a gambling addiction. And there's no quicker way to lose money than by gambling. Okay, so Paul Merson, another ex-Villa guy, primarily Arsenal guy though, blew a £7 million fortune. Okay, so gambling, booze and drugs saw the Arsenal legend blow a staggering £7 million fortune. Jeez Louise. Okay, so the former midfielder has recovered and works as a regular pundit for Sky Sports, but he once considered breaking his fingers to prevent him from phoning the bookies. Merson went broke after cashing in on his £800,000 pension to allow him to go on a betting frenzy. OMG. So what's that? That's the better part of £1 million. He cashed in his pension so he could go betting. That is how strong the gambling addiction is. Okay, so Argentinian legend Diego Maradona was said to have had £42 million worth of unpaid taxes in Italy. £42 million of unpaid taxes. OMG. There's a saying I heard whilst growing up: what is due unto Caesar, give unto Caesar. That means just, pay Caesar. Pay the landlord. You know what I mean? Pay the authorities what they ask. Because if you don't pay them what they ask, they can seriously mess you up. Okay, so he was named FIFA Player of the Century and then went bust. Argentinian icon Maradona twice broke the world record for transfers but in 2009 had to file for bankruptcy. The Italian tax authority demanded he pay back £42 million worth of unpaid taxes from his time playing for Napoli in the 80s. £42 million. Well, really and truly, I mean, he's supposed to have accountants. He's supposed to have accountants who, lay out all that shiznix. You sit down, you invite them over to your office, you sit down and you go through the papers and figure out what you're supposed to pay, and you come up with a schedule of payments. So really, there's little excuse for not paying your taxes when you're earning that kind of money. And also, you got certain financial specialists who, specialize in salting some of your income away in bank accounts in Switzerland, in the Bahamas, and Nassau. So there are ways and means to take care of your money, but certainly give unto Caesar that which is due unto Caesar. Pay your taxes. Can't run away from the tax man because he works for the government. The government. Okay, let's do a couple more. So David James, England goalkeeper, blew a £20 million fortune. £20 million pounds. Despite earning an estimated $20 million from his career, the former England #1 declared himself bankrupt in 2014. As well as a lucrative career at Premier League clubs like Liverpool, Manchester City, Aston Villa, James had also modelled for Armani and owned multiple properties. But a costly divorce in 2005 saw debts raking up. Courts instructed James to sell off his sports memorabilia, DJ equipment, and a Vauxhall Astra van. Okay. Okay, they like to make these things look nice and dramatic. There's a Del Boy special, Only Fools and Horses. A little bit of patchwork going on there. What is this, the Robin Reliant? The three-wheeler. Yeah, so obviously, David James doesn't own this fine three-wheeler. And also, obviously, the £20 million they said that he blew. Well, how much of that was belonged to the taxman in the first place? So what, that 20 million comes down to something like, 14 million that he actually got? Yeah, let's say 14 million. And he has a divorce, paid off his ex-wife, 3 million. So that left him with, 11 properties, bought properties. So that 11 comes down to, what's half of 11? It's 5.5. Okay, so now he's got 5.5. Yeah, I guess, over a 20, how many years? 26 years? 25 years? 20 years he was in his career? Well, you're not going to live for 20 years for free. So that 5 million over 20 years, spending 5 million over 20 years, living expenses, holidays, shoes, clothes, jewelry, 5 million over 20 years, that's not crazy. But his mistake was not paying off, taking care of his liabilities, assets, liabilities. The balance has to be there. Irresponsibility, financial irresponsibility of the sportsman. Is this the last one we're going to look at? Okay, let's have a look at this one then. Okay, so Ronaldinho, the Brazilian star, with some of his cars, OMG. So Ronaldinho was said to have just £5 to his name. At one point, the Brazilian legendary star was reported to have just £5 in his bank account recently, while still owing debts of up to £1.75 million. Ronaldinho was heavily fined for an illegal construction in a protected area in Brazil. Heavily fined. That's a 1.75 million fine. Yeah. You'd have expected he'd have that in his back pocket, but no. Okay, so despite remortgaging his property, the former Barcelona star was still unable to cover the debts, which saw a judge order Ronaldinho's passport be seized. So he couldn't obviously escape. Okay, so to compound the misery, Ronaldinho has recently spent time in a Paraguayan prison for allegedly attempting to enter the country with forged documents. OMG. Yeah, just general irresponsibility all around. So, what is this here? So, is Ronaldinho penniless? I think not. Obviously, he has assets. He's got property. I imagine he has multiple properties. But these guys that work hard for the money and that don't like to pay the government, don't like to listen to the rules and regulations, building properties in restricted areas is dumb. You see, if he came from a different strata of society, he would have known to. He'd have gone to the council. He'd have had people in on the council, people favorable to him, his local government. He would have contacts with his local government to invite them out to dinner and says, listen, this is what I want to do. How can we do it? If you can get this across the line, if you can get this project across the line, there's going to be a healthy pat on the back for you. Then that councilman would enlist other councilmen and he'd tell them, hey, if we get this across the line, his property, then there's going to be some healthy pats on the back for all of us. What do you say? Are you in? All we need is 4 votes in the next council meeting. Are you in? Okay. Say, how much do you need? What do you need? 20,000? $20,000 pounds? Yeah? 10,000? Get back to Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho said, no, 5,000 each. 5,000 each. You get back to the guy and say, listen, he says 4,000 each. I say, okay. Boom. They get the project approved. And, no £1.75 million fine. See, from a different strata of society, he would know that. You would know that you got to butter up and grease up and have people of influence in your corner. So I think that's a class issue. Didn't know that. A lot of these guys don't know that. They don't know how to oil the wheels, oil the political wheels. They don't understand the importance of having politicians, local government officials in your corner. They don't know how to manage money, full stop. They invest in silly things. They don't know the rules of investments. They don't know how to pay those they owe in a structured manner. They don't know how to oil the wheels with influential officials. Those are just a few of the reasons why sports stars go broke. They don't know. You just shouldn't gamble. Leave that to Mayweather and Jordan. It's the Raphael Dawkins, it's the Combat Radio, it's the like, it's the subscribe, it's the comments, it's the shares. And it's the possible live show a little bit later. It's Raphael Dawkins. And I'm out.